County Commissioners Court is now in session, Monday, March 25th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Commissioner Hanneth, would you do the honors, please?
We're going to have Darren Donaldson from Fellowship Baptist give our invocation, and after that, we'll say the pledges to our flags.
Let's pray. Our God, we remember at this time of year the passion of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, of his willingness to go to the cross and endure its suffering and shame for our sins. And we rejoice in the resurrection that grants us the hope of eternal life. You commanded us in your word to pray for those in authority. And we do lift up these commissioners as they conduct the business of this county. We ask that you would give them wisdom as they make decisions, and that everything would be in accordance with your word and would promote righteousness within our county. We thank you for all of those who serve our county in administrative roles, our law enforcement, our EMS, all of our first responders. We ask for your blessing and protection over them. And more than anything, Lord, we ask that you would use us for your glory and to further your kingdom in this world. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let's say the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 3, presentation of the impact of tourism in Washington County and the work of the Visit Brenham WCDMO. Ms. Eckerman?
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, thank you for having me today. I had met recently a couple of times with Commissioner Hanneth about some possible changes to the tourism ILA, and we started talking about the need, and probably it would be great to come and give you guys a quarterly report on the work of the Visit Brenham Washington County Destination Marketing Organization, or DMO. Our next quarterly report will be available later in April. We usually present that to our hotel and lodging partners and the Tourism Advisory Board, but I'll be back to do that quarterly for you guys too in the coming year. But I appreciate the opportunity to just give you an overview about the impact of tourism on Washington County and the work that we do as the DMO here. Recently I was, how do I change, move? You gonna do it? Okay, go ahead, Carly. Recently, I was reminded about the importance of tourism and how it impacts our county by visiting with Teresa Rosales, our Economic Development Director. And she was talking about a business that was looking to relocate somewhere around Texas. They weren't really thinking about Brenham at the time, but they were looking at other communities around us. And there was a building that was available, so they thought, well, let's just stop by Brenham and just look at that building. And it was so much larger than anything that they were really looking for. But they came and they looked at it and were looking, well, maybe, but it's really too big. Let's go have lunch. And so they came downtown and went to lunch, and they were they just felt like this is where they needed to be. The vibrancy of downtown and things that are going on. And so that just, for me, reiterated how important people visiting and having them come and see our community, how important that is. And so it reminded me of this that I saw at several conferences a couple of years ago. If you build a place people want to visit, you'll build a place people want to live. If you build a place people want to live, you'll build a place people want to work. And if you build a place people want to work, you'll build a place business has to be. If you build a place business has to be, you'll build a place people want to visit. And so it just goes back to it all starts with a visit. Okay, and you can go on, Carly. It also, that is seen on the Office of the Governor's website, where it says the majority of employed Americans agree that visiting a community is essential when assessing new job opportunities. So firsthand experience was instrumental in forming impressions that influence relocation decisions. And that story that I heard from Teresa just brought that home to me. The impact of tourism in Washington County, these are still 22 figures that are from April of last year. We're still, hopefully, maybe by the next quarterly report, I'll have some updated figures. But you can see that the impact of travel on our county is great and growing. The work that we do, you can go, Carly. The work that we do at Visit Brenham promotes Brenham and all of our partner communities as attractive travel destinations. At the same time, the work that we do getting word out about what we offer here enhances our public image as a dynamic place to live and work. We work with more than 350 tourism partners around the county. They're partners in lodging, their attractions, you can just keep going, Carly, restaurants and retail, events and organizations and venues all around the county that are working to impact tourism. Each January, we recognize our tourism partners and the people who are working not only to do their business the best that they can, but they're doing things that impact tourism in general and other businesses that are affected by the visitors that we see. I always love this story, this description of marketing from the New York Times of all places, but it said the art of telling stories so enthralling that people lose track of their wallets. That's what marketing is, and that's what we like. We like when people are coming here and spending their money and impacting the businesses here. We do that, we market by different means. We have an award-winning website that is, this last week we were hosting a visitor experience workshop for our tourism partners, particularly those in the heritage travel industry here last week. And the Texas Historical Commission folks in heritage tourism and museum services were here, and they went on and on about our website and how easy it is to use. If you are a heritage traveler and you're trying to figure out what can I do? I'm going to Washington County, what can I see, what can I do? They said ours was the website that you would use. No matter what you put in, this website was coming up and giving them the information that they needed. So we're really proud of what we are able to accomplish with the website, and love this quote from Lonely Planet that said, that we have a legendary past woven together with a modern vibe. You can go ahead, Carly. On our homepage, you have our latest blogs that have been posted, so you can always find out things that are coming up and sending people and giving them an idea of what to do around the county. You can just keep going, Carly. And then we show all of our Instagram posts, the last 12. They are updated all the time. And then one of the things that was really important to us when the city took over tourism, Carly, I'm sorry, would you go back to that one? When the city took over tourism and the DMO, it was important for us to send people to all of our partner communities around the county. And so what we do is have a Beyond Brenham tab there and have pages that show each of the different communities and what's available to do there. You can kind of just flip through. I think they're each have a page there, Carly. So we have the Burton one, you have restaurants, things that are there to do. Keep going. Burton, Chapel Hill, you can keep going. Independence, and Washington. So we work really diligently to promote all of what Washington County has to offer, because we're just more interesting when all of this is together and promoted and marketed. Our website had more than 800,000 hits last year. And you can just kind of keep going. I want to do it fairly quickly. Our social media won the best social media in a mid-market town from the Texas Travel Awards. Our last year, we had more than 3 million total impressions, and our Instagram followers went above 10,000, and Facebook, we're nearing 25,000 right now. We highlight every part of the county throughout the social media that we do. You'll just kind of flip through, you'll see the highlights from 23, the most popular posts for each of the different communities. Okay, and part of our, what we call a very open, and we use a lot of different sources. We like digital marketing, of course, it's a really big thing. The data that's available through digital marketing is endless. I mean, totally endless. You could just go on and on about trying to find out who's looking and who's clicking and all of that. Wanted to point out something that stands out for us, and always, we're pretty consistent in this, is the average click-through rate, or CTR, for our ads is much higher than the industry average. And that's something that we really, what's important about that is people are seeing the ads, but they're not just flipping through. They're clicking on the ads and going to find more about what to do when they're here. You can keep going. These are just keywords, the top keywords that people are searching for. And what you see on this list is it's not just general, what's there to do? How can I find something to do? People are searching for Brenham, for Washington County. They're looking for things to do here, and they already know about us, so they're searching that way. Okay, keep going, Carly. One of our focuses this year is on more video. We hadn't had as much video as before, and so we're really focusing on that this year. But it's just an interesting thing to see how much the view rate of all of our of the video that we have running out there. And keep going. And this is a little bit old, don't have March updated right there, but we're just excited about the numbers, the number of people who are seeing and clicking on what we are putting out there for them. Can keep going. And our approach is also, we include print advertising. For a while there, people were like, oh, print's dead. Print's not dead, especially when you have a market like ours that's probably a little older generally. Although our family-friendly stuff is growing and more people are looking for us with that, we still have, the history gives us a little bit older demographic, and print's very important to that. So you can just keep going, Carly. Digital advertising also, these are just some that we're running last fall. And we always have people who are just writing about Brenham and things around Brenham and Washington County. You can keep going. But the impressions that you, and the reach that you get with stuff is just, it's amazing to see, and it's always fun when we see people writing and talking about Brenham. We have the e-newsletter with more than 10,000 subscribers, and our industry average, we're above industry average in the open rate, where people are interested in what we're putting out there. The visitor guide is something we do annually, and it's the only thing that we do that is what we consider pay to play. Everything else that we do costs nothing. We just promote all of our tourism partners and events and things that are going on. The visitor guide is the only thing, because of the cost to print. We usually print more than 100,000 of those, and the last 2 years we've come close to running out. I think we are down to a box or two at the end of the year. So people are still looking for print. It's pretty amazing. This was something that we started that we really love doing. We call them the Happenings Flyers, and they are weekly flyers that say exactly what's going on around the community during that coming week and the weekend. Places all over the county that might have live music or certain events going on. And then on the flip side, it's what's coming up over the next few months. So we send those out to all of our tourism partners for them to print, and we also deliver to all the hotels each week. Our visitor center, open 7 days a week, was also an award winner in the Texas Travel Awards. We are, I think you might have heard that we're certified as a Texas music-friendly community, and we do a program on KBHI, you can flip, Carly, called Washington County Live that promotes all of the different live music coming up during this coming week and over the weekend, so that people always have a place to go find what's happening around the county. We, a few years ago, installed these visitor kiosks in Burton, Chapel Hill, and Independence, and we update those twice a year, usually right before the beginning of the busy spring season, and then again right before the beginning of the busy fall. But one side has a county map that promotes the lodging properties that are in that area, and then a calendar of the events going on around the county. What we're trying to do with these is let people know if they're just going to one of these communities, they're seeing that there are other things to do and see around the county, in hopes that they'll stay or maybe plan another trip. And then the other side is just a map of our tourism partners in each of those different communities. And there's room for them to hang their flyers and stuff for upcoming events. We also are in charge of operating and managing the Barnhill Center, where we have a wide variety of rentals there. We do programming. You can flip, Carly. We do entertainment. We have an annual a season that we put out and sell tickets for. We are tickled that what we're able to do here with our rentals and our entertainment actually is making money and contributing back to what we're able to do with tourism. And then we are in the middle of planning for 2025. It's a big year for the Simon. It'll be our 100th anniversary of that downtown building. We do have, I wanted to share the things that are upcoming and new for 2024. We are in the midst of wildflowers, as you all know. We do have this wildflower watch page that goes live usually sometime towards the end of February. And people, not that people aren't looking for bluebonnets, in October they'll call. It's like, when are the blue? It's like, call back later. But we do this wildflower watch page where if you keep going, Carly, we have, wildflower etiquette. We wish everybody would read that. And then just different driving maps and photos from past years to try to give people things that they're looking for. You can keep going. And then a couple of years ago, we designed this Google map, and it has been an amazing ad for us because we'll start early, and as wildflowers places start popping up, we will put those on the map, and then as more come up, we'll change the map, and so it changes over a 4 to 6 week period as places go down and others come up. Peak has reached it at a lot of different times over those few weeks, and we received more than 200,000 views of that page in 2023.
They were all here this weekend.
No, just wait. You might say that next week. Also, this coming year that we have at the Barnhill Center, we're going to we have a speaker series, luncheons that are being planned. Like I mentioned, we're going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Barnhill with a kickoff celebration of this 100 Years of Simon exhibit that's coming. Keep going. We are going to be pushing in the next legislative session for official recognition for Brenham as the ice cream capital of Texas. And you have a question about that, Commissioner?
No, I do not. I just didn't know that there was going to be such a thing.
Well, we did run into an issue with Deer Park. Deer Park is trademarked the birthplace of Texas, which doesn't make sense. Doesn't make But we did have gotten calls because in our visitor center, it says the birthplace of Texas. And so we just thought Brenham should be the ice cream capital of Texas, and we'll put that in the visitor center in there. We're also this year working on certification as an inaugural community of the new Texas Tourism Friendly program. It's kind of very similar to Music Friendly and Film Friendly, but it just makes sense that our area is part of that inaugural program. So we're applying for certification there. And then the big news, and what y'all may have already heard about, but I've come to explain kind of this huge thing that we've taken on, and we're very excited about the Smithsonian coming to Washington County. If you just go, Carly. Museum on Main Street is a traveling exhibit program of the Smithsonian Institution, and we'll be hosting an exhibit that's called Crossroads, Change in Rural America in Morris Hall at the Barnhill Center, December 7th of 24 through January 20th of 25. And this was the first time that this traveling exhibit that the Smithsonian has worked in Texas. There were 53 applicants for host communities, and we were one of 7 that were chosen across the state. It has been, every once in a while I kind of go, why did we do this? But there's really no doubt. They're laughing a little bit behind me because it has been, we've taken on quite a lot by doing this hosting. And I think there's a lot of, I feel like there's pressure on us because I think the Texas Historical Commission group, the Heritage Tourism Group, has a lot of high expectations from us. And so we are going to live up to those expectations. There are 3 permanent local exhibits that are being planned, along with a whole host of cultural activities, programs, and projects across the county that tie into the crossroads themes of identity, land, community, resilience, and managing change. This exhibit is about how rural communities changed through the 20th century, through the 1900s, when so many people were leaving rural areas and moving to the cities. And so that's what the Smithsonian exhibit is all about, and the things that we're doing are going to tie back into these themes. When we first put the application together, we partnered with, and this is Visit Brenham, Washington County, we partnered with Tina and the Texas 10 Historical Explorers, who have been doing an amazing job collecting local Black history that wasn't easily available or wasn't well known. So when we were working with them and the Brenham Heritage Museum, these application goals came up, and there's no doubt that these were things that the Historical Commission found of interest and wanted to help support. Our goals include sharing undertold stories of local African American history, increasing heritage tourism within Washington County, and then one of the application questions was, do you have significant anniversaries? And so early on, it was like, yes, we're celebrating the 100 years of the Simon. And since that time, it's been really interesting to hear about other anniversaries, major anniversaries around our county, one of which is 200 years ago, independence was formed. And so there are a lot of different things going on in conversations with our partner communities about how they can tie in with these goals and benefit from being a part of the Smithsonian Museum on Main Street program. There is a lot of work going on. We're working on these local exhibits. You can go, Carly. First one will be in Bell's Alley, and it'll be an exhibit about the freedom colonies of Washington County. And I'm going to ask Tina to just jump in if I'm not saying anything right anytime. But there were a number of freedom colonies around the county that were established late during the Civil War and right after. And it was a place that normally they would be built around or be developed around a church, a school, a cemetery, and businesses that would happen. But it was a way for these freedmen to feel comfortable and start communities. And they were happening all around the county. And we're going to talk about those, a number of those, and list them in this exhibit. Can go, keep going. And then we're also going to be doing probably the most well-known colony, Freedom Colony, is Camptown, and we'll do an exhibit there, but also a sound walk, which is an audio tour that incorporates not only a history of a spot, but also the sounds that you might have heard during that time period. And so, like for instance, Mount Rose was the church that started there. And so when we talk about that history, we'll hear the sounds of the choir and maybe preaching. There'll be, the Camptown exhibit Camptown started and was named because of the federal troops that were stationed there during Reconstruction. And so those kind of sounds of camping, and the railroad is there. That railroad the trains were going through there. So that's another sound that would evoke just to make it a more experiential tour. And then there are the stories of people who are buried in Camptown. Just fascinating stories of these people that a lot of people have never heard before. So we are excited about this exhibit and sharing the history of Washington County's most well-known Freedom Colony. And then there's the 100 Years of Simon exhibit that I have already mentioned. You can go, Carly. This is not something that just a couple of people can put together. There are partnerships that are being developed within the community and beyond. We're excited to be working with BISD, and they are kind of our education committee, and coming up with plans of how our students can benefit and participate in some way throughout this experience. And they'll be, depending on the age, there'll be different ways. It might just be a tour, or it might be doing oral histories with their family, or doing some kind of video project or art project. So they are developing ways that they can partner with us in benefiting from what the Smithsonian coming to our area can mean. But there are a bunch. I've already mentioned Texas 10 Historical Explorers. The Smithsonian normally works with state humanities councils when they go into states, but in Texas, the Texas Historical Commission is a stronger, larger entity than the humanities councils, and so they're working with the Historical Commission. Brenham Heritage Museum, I've already mentioned BISD. Main Street has agreed to let us use Bell's Alley for those permanent exhibits downtown. Keep going. And we are working with all of our tourism partner communities to work on how the thousands of people expected to come to this exhibit to see the Smithsonian. The goal is to drive them out into the county, to encourage people to stay. Because the biggest impact is if we can not just be a little day trip, but more come, stay, support our businesses, see everything that the county has to offer. And then we're also, the Texas Independence Trail, we are the host community that was selected from all of the Texas Independence Trail. So we're working with those folks too to see how a tie can work with them. And then the Washington County Historical Commission, we're happy to be working with them on a project. Tom is here. We'll talk about what we're doing with them in just a little bit. You can keep going. So these trails that are being planned throughout the county, what we've decided is we've kind of worked and narrowed it down to 2 trails. One will happen early in the project, which would be, you can go, Carly. One is early in the project and would be a Christmas Historic Homes Trail. This actually came out of a conversation I had with John Failer out at Washington Brazos, who was talking about a couple of old homes, historic homes in Washington that the public has never seen. And so John and Tom are helping us get those to visit with those people to see if they would open their homes. Chapel Hill already does a Christmas a Christmas home tour. We will work, we're working with Chapel Hill and Dale Ramey, who's in charge of that one, to do the Historic Homes Trail in Chapel Hill the opposite weekend from when they do it. And then working with Burton and Independence has just been amazing to work with. So with these trails, there will be a welcome center in each community. Like, for instance, Independence and our communication with them early on, the Baptist Historical Museum there was like, we want to be the welcome center and maybe bring in a choir to sing in the church there. And so each of the communities is figuring out a way to make this their own. They will, in the welcome center, they'll sample local products and have people register for gift baskets of goodies that might even be a weekend event or something that people can register for, and it gives each of these communities added people to their contact list too. The second trail will be a historical markers trail that will highlight churches, cemeteries, and historic sites. And the welcome centers will return for that trail too. We are planning to update all of our promotional products, brochures, rack cards, tours, all of the, like historical walking tours or any kind of art walk maps or anything will be branded, will be updated, tweaked, and branded with Smithsonian Museum on Main Street branding.
Is that and that's permanent as well, since 3 of those are permanent
What's that?
exhibits? I'm saying, is that going to become, like,
Yes.
all of your marketing stuff, like,
What,
they're
for
allowing
everything?
you to keep it there in perpetuity, not
Yes.
just during?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Great.
I mean, that's one of the most important things to us and what makes it worth the time and effort that, you know, this, I keep saying this could be a full-time job for somebody. It really could. But for us, the thing that's important is that even though the Smithsonian is here from December 7th to January 20th, it's the impact, the long-term impact for the county and heritage tourism that makes it worthwhile for us to spend our time on. One of the largest projects that came up while we were working with the Washington County Historical Commission to kind of figure out what kind of partnership could we have? What could we do? How could the Historical Commission partner with us? And we came up with, Tom actually came up with needing to update the Washington County Historical Markers Guide. And so, did you want to say something, Tom, or
Well, we're very proud to partner with Jennifer on this, on the historical markers trail and the updated historical markers guide. We feel like we're well qualified to do that, and we're proud to be asked to do it.
Good. Well, we really appreciate it. Tom had come to us, visit Brenham last year, or maybe even 2 years ago, time flies, about updating the markers guide. It needed to be updated. This was the last one, and I think it was 2015 maybe? Is that right, Bob? But anyway, it needed to be updated, and the last one was printed like with the markers in alphabetical order. I mean, not really too user-friendly. And so they're working really hard to update this. Thought they would be able to work with the banner, and that just didn't happen. And so we feel like this is a really important long-term project, and so we're going to work with them to help come up with this, get this updated and out there, and we'll use it as a big part of our second trail. I know I'm getting long-winded here, y'all. I'm sorry. It's just a lot. And so then we have, there's Christmas, the holidays is a busy time anyway. So what we're doing is working on not only promoting the things that are already going on that happen every year, but also all of the different cultural activities and programming that are involved in coming on board because of this project. And we'll have a calendar, we'll have timeline, and all of the things that are going on, we're hoping will have people come and learn more about the heritage of Brenham and Washington County. You can keep going, Carly. And then we are Visit Brenham's developing a marketing plan, can keep going. That will include all of these things, print and radio, advertising, digital marketing. We'll do targeted marketing to those people who love historic sites and have visited historic sites, we'll be able to target all of those people. And then social media, billboards, and signage. And currently, we're working on fundraising, developing a volunteer committee, because I can tell you that's one of the issues that our partner communities have. You know, Independence, Burton, Chapel Hill, Washington, they all want to know, how can we do that? I mean, how we need help in doing this. And so we've already have people signed on who are going to help us get volunteers. So it's very much a community-driven effort to make this happen. And those are the things that we're in the midst of right now. So I guess all in all, there's a lot that is going on in Brenham and Washington County, there's no doubt. But this Smithsonian thing is something that we feel like is very community-driven and supported. I'll be honest, everything that we're doing, our preliminary budget for this is almost $200,000. But we think that that is money that can be raised through hot funds with the city and the county, through individual contributions, and some sponsorship and grants that are available. So that's what we're in the midst of doing here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have about any of it.
Well, quite the presentation, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry it's so long. There's just a lot going on here, you guys.
It really is, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Miss Eckerman, I was
Yes.
gonna ask you, okay, so you said that preliminarily y'all have a $200,000 budget? Is that right? How much
Yes.
has the city allocated or agreed, or have they agreed to allocate some of their hot funds?
They have. There will be all of the marketing stuff that you see that I mentioned we'll be doing will be part of our budget, the Visit Brenham budget, because that's what we do is marketing.
Mhm.
So all of that will come under us. And then I know that the city is willing to also allocate some reserves to this. And I would, whatever y'all would do, I would go back and ask the city for the same amount, is what my plan is.
Okay, and the $200,000 proposed budget, that includes marketing and so, I'm just trying to ascertain, like, what is the Smithsonian providing
The
anything from
Smithsonian
the,
does not
like the
offer-
exhibits, or?
They do not fund a thing.
Oh,
It is just bringing the Smithsonian to a community, and what having that name as a partner means. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the easiest thing that we've been able to do is get partners, because people want to be a part of the Smithsonian and be seen as a partner in bringing together that institution with the quality of things that we have, that we offer here.
okay.
So, I mean, that honestly is, you know, with BISD and some conversations with Glenn, that's what excites people, is to be a part of something that the Smithsonian is
Yeah, absolutely.
has
Very
such a
good.
big role in. But funding is not one of the things they do. The 7 host communities, it'll start in August of '24, and through, the exhibit will travel from community to community, and then it takes about a year for it to make its way through those 7 communities. The Smithsonian sends it to the first community, which is St. Augustine, and then the next town, Clifton, picks it up from St. Augustine and takes it to install it. Brenham's next, we'll go to Clifton and pick it up, and then Rockport will pick it up from us, so it just makes its way through 7 of the 10 trail regions throughout Texas that were chosen.
Okay, Travis.
And that's separate from these 3 permanent exhibits,
Yes,
correct?
Yes, so really, there were conversations about how we can do, you know, how can we increase beach tourism? Each community is so good, has such a great story to tell. And, but we tend to work individually.
Right.
And this gives us an opportunity to work together around the county in something that we're all doing together. And, that and the exhibits that will impact us for years to come are the whole reason to do it. And we had those conversations before, and when the opportunity came up, it was like, this is just an avenue for us to bring these things to fruition. So, we feel like we're able to take advantage of the Smithsonian and the visitors that having that will bring here, to have them and go and see all of, and promote all of the cultural and heritage activities that we have going on here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 4, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of Visit Brenham DMO request for funding of $50,000 from hotel occupancy tax reserves for the Smithsonian Museum on Main Street project.
Commissioners, I think this is a very valuable project for our community. I will say that there is a lot of opportunity for fundraising in this for this project, and I do think that there is definitely a need for the county to participate in some
Absolutely.
form with hotel occupancy tax. I'm a little concerned about giving the whole $50,000 at this point. I think that what we could do is give some seed money of a certain amount, and then the court could see in July, when we go into budget, where we are with that funding. And then after that, we could provide more funding as needed. That's just my opinion. I'm one member of this court. When this was originally brought to me, the number was closer to 20 to 25,000 that we discussed, and so this was a little bit of sticker shock for me.
And,
Can we amend the agenda item to a number?
Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's in a motion, that's what we'll do.
That's just my opinion. This court can make any motions they would like to make.
Would you like to make that in the form of a
yeah,
motion?
I mean, I'll just say, I'm good with that. I'm open to funding more, because I am really excited, especially the historical piece of this, because, I mean, I'll agree with Commissioner Hannah. I had a little bit of sticker shock as well when I saw the 50,000, just knowing how much that we bring in hotel occupancy revenue, which is very minimal. But
reserves too.
right, but after hearing more about the program, I'm actually really excited about the opportunity that this can bring, particularly
I agree.
throughout Washington County, in a way to tie in all of these communities. So I'm very excited about that. I think that for me, I would just like to see a little bit more refined budget, so that we know exactly kind of where things are going. You know, and that goes without saying, you know, I shouldn't say this, but it could be a little more than 50, or it could be, you know, a little less. Yeah, you're freaking out, but I'm just saying, I want to understand exactly, like, you know, what's going into it.
Absolutely.
I think we gotta wait till budget, like Kirk said, and see where we're at, to see what we can
Commissioner, I was saying we could give them some seed money,
do. Right.
but I think and see where it goes. I agree with Commissioner Bullock in the sense of a more refined budget would be good for us to see. We require that of those folks that come seek funding from us in the funding committee. They usually present a budget to us in those funding meetings, and there are several things attached to that. So totally agree, this is a worthwhile project. I don't think anyone would disagree with
No,
that.
we need help, but not to that level perhaps, okay? All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Visit Brenham DMO request funding of $25,000 from hotel occupancy tax reserves for the Smithsonian's Museum on Main Street project.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries with the amended amount of $25,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eckerman.
Thank you.
I know this
Thank
is
you
gonna
all
be a
very much.
very arduous project for you guys to get completed, so,
Worthwhile.
yes.
Yes.
Item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of proclamation proclaiming March 24, 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in Washington County. Our proclamation. Whereas colorectal cancer is the 4th most commonly diagnosed cancer and the 2nd leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States, of men and women combined. Whereas the 5-year relative survival rate for stage 1 and stage 2 colorectal cancer is 90%. For stage 3, 71%. Stage 4, 14%. Colorectal cancer often shows no signs or symptoms in the early stages of the disease, but is one of the few cancers that can be prevented with timely screening. It is now recommended that colorectal screenings begin at age 45 for those with an average risk of developing colorectal cancer. Observing Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month during the month of March provides an opportunity to increase awareness and offer education on the importance of early detection and screening for colorectal cancer. Now therefore, the Commissioners Court of Washington County, Texas, does hereby proclaim March 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Is there a motion for this?
I make a motion to approve the proclamation proclaiming March 24th as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in Washington County. Did I say that right?
You did.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ms.
Thank
Murphy?
you, Judge and Commissioners. It's the second year that I've come before you asking for that proclamation. I just have a little something that I wanted to share with you, not quite as lengthy as last year, but in June of 2019, while I was here at work, my mom called me and said, "Casey, I need you." Those words changed the next 11 months of my life. My mom, Jeanette, had just learned that she had some type of cancer, a cancer that had created a 10-millimeter mass on her liver, resulted in severe pain that she thought was an ulcer, and exhaustion. Over the next few weeks, we would learn that the cancer came from her colon. It had already metastasized. Stage 4. She did not have her first colonoscopy until after her initial diagnosis. She lost her battle in May of 2020, right after Mother's Day. She was 57 years old. We learned that for her cancer to have spread this invasively, it had probably been growing for 10 years or more. 3 years before the traditional guidance at the time would have even recommended a colonoscopy, it had been growing when my girls were born, it had been growing during my brother's wedding, and it had been growing while we went through life casually without a worry in the world. As I approach the 4-year anniversary of her passing and the 5-year anniversary of her diagnosis, I want to do all I can to bring awareness to this disease and its preventable nature. Colon cancer is one of the few cancers that can be prevented with timely screening. Medical wisdom now dictates that the initial screening should be done at age 45 for those with average risk. I had my first screening last year at age 40 due to my increased risk. Most people put off colonoscopies as inconvenient and annoying and something to be avoided, but it could save your life. And I urge you to take your health seriously for your sake and for your family's sake. Thank you so much for giving me this time and for the proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
My best
Casey.
friend died with that.
Casey?
And you know-
At age 59.
I would go as far to say, I think it would be prudent for people to possibly even, for whatever reason, to get checked out sooner. I have a girlfriend that's my age, and she's been struggling with this for 5 years. So she found out in her late 30s that she had this, you know?
Thank you.
And there's so many different ways now. You don't always have to have a colonoscopy. If you
Yeah.
aren't at heightened risk, they have kits that they send to your house and you can mail. So, I mean, there's so many more
So you're a
ways that
country
you
girl
can
when you're looking
get
at the rings.
screened now than there used to be.
Yeah.
City on Gay Hill. You represent Gay Hill right there.
That's right.
Sit down.
My girlfriend's really.
Keep it real.
Okay. Item number 6, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of pending Washington County Expo rental regulations contracts. This morning, we have a quinceanera, a cook-off, and a wildlife banquet. 3 of them today.
I move upon the approval of pending Washington County Expo rental regulation contracts and authorize the county judge to sign.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the Sheriff's Office monthly report. There's no one here to present the report. I don't see anyone. There's nobody behind that post, is there?
No.
All right. And there is a donation, so we will have to. Anybody have any questions or comments about the sheriff's report?
No.
I make a motion to approve the sheriff's office monthly report.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and possibly act upon the placement of Hargrove Lane, .536 miles, located in the Hill Creek Ridge, Section 1 subdivision into the 1-year maintenance period, reducing the bond to 50% in Precinct 1.
Yes, this is the Hill Creek Ridge subdivision. This is the first phase that they are proposing. This is a Hargrove Lane is what you're seeing here. It's approximately half a mile. We initially went through our final inspection at the end of last year. They had a few items they needed to take care of and work on. Subsequently, we did come back. After those items were addressed, some signage, some minor erosion problems, those have been taken care of, and they do meet all county requirements for their infrastructure. And we do recommend placing Hargrove Lane into the initial acceptance and 1-year maintenance period.
Okay.
I move upon the placement of Hargrove Lane, 0.536 miles, located in the Hill Creek Ridge Section 1 subdivision in the 1-year maintenance period and reducing the bond to 50% Precinct 1.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item number 9, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the wildlife management agreement between Washington County and 3R Hunting Services LLC. Commissioners, this is the agreement that the 3R is the one that we selected to negotiate with about the wildlife management of their 9,155 acres in Tom Green County, the school lands. This is the same 9,155 acres that were leased out for grazing separately from the hunting. The previous lease for hunting and grazing was $8 an acre. We have leased the grazing for $8 an acre by itself, and the hunting revenue will be in addition to that. And we have had discussions with Mr. Whiteson about what his responsibilities are, and he is more than happy to agree to this. So.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ms. Miller?
No, we've confirmed with Mr. Whiteson that he would be responsible for everything that we requested in the RFQ that we went out for. And then in his answer to the RFQ, we made sure that we were talking apples to apples and not apples to oranges. And the judge worked out the payment with him.
And so he'll be responsible for finding the hunters. As far as where it says enter into the leases, do we,
Right.
he's gonna have the lease and
The
everything?
lease will be with him.
Okay.
Right, and it's up to him to advertise and do it from here on. Our agreement is with him, not with individual hunters.
Because if we entered into those leases, we would have to go out for bids. And he is not bound by that requirement. So we are turning over the hunting operations to him. And you also see in there that it's expected that the hunters that sign those leases will be responsible for some capital improvements to the property.
That was gonna be my next question, as far as,
That is part of it.
and then the maintenance of like the camp house that's there, that they're gonna be using, the lodging goes with it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Will that be their responsibility, or is that ours?
The lodging goes with the hunting leases, and that's going to be his responsibility.
Okay.
That's probably part of some of the capital improvements, along with watering. Forgive me, I've had to kind of educate myself on Tom Green County hunting. but apparently it's better to have small water troughs for the wildlife as well as the livestock.
Right.
And so therefore, he's going to be working with the hunters to put those in place. Right now, we have larger stock ponds, but they're not in the ground like a tank. They are an actual cement thing that's
Trough.
above ground. And that's not ideal. It's not ideal for the livestock, it's not ideal for the wildlife, and it's not ideal for our land because the animals congregate around there, and the cattle especially tromp it down, and nothing will really grow around there. So if you spread them out and the animals are able to go to more locations, it's better for our land.
Makes sense.
And like the price, he'll handle all that agreeing on to when he gets them.
Yes, yes.
Commissioners, I will also note that there is liability insurance not only from 3R, but also the hunters that will be on our property.
Yes.
That is significant information for everyone to know because those things will keep the county free of liability, not free of liability, but liability up to the what
Right.
we're
Yes.
responsible for.
They have to carry their liability insurance, and he has, through his course of business, he carries a policy of $2 million.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, that's listed in this document.
It
Right.
is.
Correct.
So I want to tell the county attorney's office, thank you for the work you guys have done on this, and I know you guys have reached out to Mr. Davis
Davis.
about this contract, so he's very familiar with stuff down in Tom Green County, so.
He is. And even talking to Mr. Weisen, he seems very knowledgeable, and he's the one that, was telling me about his insurance. He carries insurance, so it's not just a
He's
one-man type of.
well experienced
so-
in this field.
And this isn't the only land he manages, so.
I make a motion to approve the wildlife management agreement between Washington County and 3R Hunting Services LLC.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Items number 10, 11, 12, and 13 have requested to table those until we can further investigate exactly what each of these is. It's kind of, I don't think we had quite enough time to really delve into them.
Okay.
Is there any?
I would just like to say, I didn't have the opportunity to look at the deeds to this property, and I just wanted a little more time for
I
myself
needed more time too.
to look into that. I appreciate all the work that the county attorney's office has done on this as well, but I would like a little more time to see exactly what we're doing here. It's been a while since I've been involved in this, and my memory was not as sure as I thought it would be when looking at the agreements themselves. So I'd like a little more time.
Well, number 10 does not have to be listed again on the agenda when you bring this back, because we received an email this morning from our contact at Magnolia Oil that Washington County does not own land in the property sharing agreement covering certain pieces of property. And they said that Washington County does not own land in that particular
So we can strike number
area
10.
that's covered by that product sharing agreement.
That's the Saratoga, is that the Saratoga?
It's a
one?
Saratoga well, and it's a product sharing agreement as opposed to a co-op unit
Yeah.
agreement.
Okay. Need a motion to table.
I make a motion to table item 10, 11, 12, and 13.
With-
Do we have to table 10 or
We don't have to, we'd have to bring it back.
Just
11 through 13.
Okay.
11, 12.
11,
I
12.
make a motion to table 11, 12, and 13.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We didn't take action on 10.
Now, we
What do
will
have to-
back up to 10.
Okay.
Okay, number 10 is discuss and possibly act upon the execution of a product sharing agreement with Magnolia Oil and Gas Operating LLC. Renee, how would we?
Just vote it down.
Just vote it down, okay. Is there a motion? If you don't have a motion, you don't have a
To
second.
reject or not approve?
Not approved.
No motion.
I make a motion to reject the product sharing agreement with Magnolia Oil and Gas Operating LLC due to the fact that the county does not have a interest in this lease.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, discuss and possibly act upon entering into an agreement with Citibank for purchasing cards and authorize the county judge to sign the necessary documents.
Good
morning.
This contract has been reviewed by the county attorney's office as well, and Casey made a few notes on there, but it's a blanket agreement that they did for us, and so these cards will allow more, I think more detail and limits on what can be spent, you know. With MasterCard, it's just wherever they swap their card and things like that. But with the P cards, they will be able to be merchant coded, and so if you only want them to charge at a hotel and restaurant, then that's the only places that they can use that card at, or you can open it up. And they have their list of recommendations on what is usually allowed, because they're a state issue. They're from the purchasing through the state, so they kind of know what the government allows you to charge and not. So then the department heads will be the administrators, so to speak. They won't have as much control as the auditor's office with it, but they can set limits with their own employees. They can make sure the coding, because they'll be able to code to the GL and upload their receipts to this website before they ever come to us. So the employee, department head will
It's gonna
approve.
streamline.
Yes, I believe it will very much
Mhm.
be very helpful. So that's the goal anyway. And
Absolutely.
I don't plan on rolling this out to every department by any means. There are a few that have agreed to be testers of it, to see how it will go. But it also is, it integrates with our Tyler ERP, and so once that is set up, it should be able to upload into Tyler for that payable. And so part of the problem now with MasterCards is we have people maybe charging contracts or I don't know, a slew of things, but you can't go back and find any information because it's to that credit card as the vendor, which this will help allocate that where you can see what they actually purchased, and if we need to go and pull it, it will be easier than just a
Okay.
MasterCard receipt.
Sounds like a nice improvement.
Hopefully.
We had that nice long presentation, and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely sounded like something we should at least test.
Yes, for sure.
So.
I will tell you, I had a constituent reach out to me with concerns about having cashback and mileage rewards. The county will not be participating in anything like that, so that is a non-concern. I also, currently, county elected officials and department heads are utilizing the credit cards. Those credit cards are it's going to be the same. There's not going to be an increased number of credit cards. I think there was a huge fear that every county employee would have a credit card. That's not going to be the case. And they're already managing these cards, these department heads and elected officials. So this will give us better insight and better transparency in terms of the cards. We're able to, and also better control over what we're spending money on in the county. I think this is a win for the county in that regard. It would also help streamline, like the auditor said, the auditor's office in terms of what these dollars are being spent. So I think all around, this is going to be a better opportunity for us in terms of the credit card use.
Okay. All right.
I make a motion to approve entering into an agreement with Citibank for the purchasing of cards, authorize the county judge to sign the necessary documents.
I second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 15, presentation of the following monthly reports. County Clerk, Ms.
Okay,
Rothermere.
I'll try to be brief because this meeting's been long as it is. Okay, if you go to the charts, we had almost an equal amount of money was taken in January, which was between $70,000 and $80,000. It was probably one of the higher February intakes that we have, if you look at that across the last 6 years. Moving on to official records, we had 609 official records filed, which was more than in January, but a little less than 2022 and 2023 February. We only had one plat filed, and it just looks like it's a whole lot because of the way the chart does it. But we've already had 4 filed in March already.
Wow.
Well, yeah, look at that drop.
Yeah, so, so we're just starting out for 2024, so that we'll watch
That
that
will
number go up.
increase.
And criminal cases, we had 69 filed, 56 disposed of, so that was an increase in cases filed over the last 3 years. And then moving on to civil cases, we had 12 filed, 4 disposed. In the month of February, that's been the most since 2019, actually, of civil cases filed. Probate cases, we had 18 filed, which is quite a few probate cases. I don't know if that's a sign of our aging population or what. Probate cases filed in the month of February, that kind of goes up and down there, but tends to follow the number of deaths that we have in the county too. We had, I think, 41 deaths in the county, but we had 18 probate cases filed. So, not everybody has a probate case that gets filed on their estate. We had 2 guardianship cases filed in February, same as January, and that's from over the last 6 years. That was down a little bit from last year in February. Active guardianships we show at 268 right now. And births recorded, we had 32 births recorded in the county. And that, over the last 6 years, has been the most in February over the last 6 years. So that's an interesting trend. We sold 202 birth certificates in the month. Deaths recorded, I mentioned 41 deaths reported in the county, and that was quite a few. And I left last year's in there so you can kind of see that was the most in a month over the last year and 14 months, I guess. And again, that was for the last 6 years, I'm sorry, that was the most in the month of February. So death certificates, we sold 81 of those. Marriage licenses, we sold 19 marriage licenses, which is a little bit less than the last few months. And it's a little bit less than in 2022 and 2023. Permitium online, we had 27 requests, which is quite a few more than we normally get. Fraud alert registrations, somehow I didn't get February in there. I apologize for that, but we only had 3 in the month of February.
So let me ask you this on those fraud alerts. Is that something that we would get notified if somebody tried to apply for let's just say a title to our property?
The person gets notified, the registrant gets notified that there was something filed in our records.
Okay.
With their name on it, the name that they registered.
I'm just concerned because of these squatters. They're filing for documents and going to people's houses and saying, I have a deed to this property or a document.
I haven't heard that.
Yes, and it's
But
starting to
this was-
become
Is
a
that
problem.
happening in other places?
Mhm.
Yeah, larger
Yes.
counties or?
sure.
It was in another state that I heard it happened in, but I was like, golly, I'm on this, just another plug for this
Right,
fraud
right,
alert.
absolutely. It
Just-
costs nothing, and the data is not sold in any form or fashion to anybody. This is our software company that has put this together, this program together for us, so it's, so it's only about, 1,340, I think, persons have registered so far in the county So definitely room for a lot more.
Absolutely.
People. If
Costs
anyone needs
nothing
help
and
with it, just give me a call, I'll
it's
be
easy
happy
to
to
do.
help.
Okay. Any comments about the county clerk's report? District clerk, we don't have a report for the district clerk today. Justice of the Peace report. Questions or comments about the Justice of the Peace reports? Okay, auditor's report.
So I did change my report up a little bit.
Noticed
I
that.
see that.
I was
it-
looking for E3.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Some poor
That's okay.
tree.
So if you have any trouble reading it or finding what you need on there, please call me and we'll see if we can get something better going for you. So in a perfect world, we would be at 83.34% to remaining to either collect or spend. In revenue, the general fund is 76.5 remaining to collect, and EDS Road and Bridge is about 70.5% remaining to collect. On expenses, the general fund about 82% remaining to spend, and EDS 85.5% remaining. Sales tax collected is down from last year about 3%. So total sales tax collected for February is $429,160.50.
You said 3%?
Yes. I do want to also say we have received the SB 22 funds for both prosecutor offices and the sheriff's office. And then we did get confirmation on the constable's grant and that amount, and so we are expecting that any day, so.
And we had estimated a certain number, didn't we put 350 already in the budget for revenue?
For,
That's the
yes,
sheriff.
for the sheriff, because we
sheriff's.
knew that
That
portion,
money
yes.
has
For
come
sure.
in.
Uh-huh.
It
Right.
came.
Okay.
He's been, that department's been notified of what they can spend the money on.
I've requested a budget line item, or budgeted, his budget for those funds, but I haven't, I just recently sent it, so he knows to hopefully send that back, because we have specific reporting requirements for the state, but they haven't told us exactly what those are yet, but, definitely need to keep up with what is spent out of that, and then be able to prove that back at the end of the year.
You mean if it's not used in full?
Right, and then we'll have to report what it was spent on, and
Okay,
that's all I have.
right, thank you. Okay, tax assessor collectors report. Any questions or comments about them?
No.
Okay. Okay, treasurer report, Ms. Kramer.
Good morning. I'm sorry, if I squished this down, I didn't think y'all could read it, so that's why it kind of goes on for extra pages there. But it does show all the investments and stuff that we're working with. I've got lines for deposits, withdrawals, maturity dates, the monthly interest, the year-to-date interest. I mean, it's just a lot of things that we are working with these days. If you pay any attention to the very last page, it shows the January and February year-to-date, I mean, the interest, and it's less in February because there were less days. So,
Yeah.
because it's based upon the exact number of days, so. Anyway, and then of course, I have included the bonds and stuff that are pledged to us at the bank.
Yeah, I noticed that you circled those BAA 2 and
Yeah, I
3.
was gonna
Can
ask
you
that question.
tell me about that?
Those are
I
not,
know we had asked about the A1, and
Yes.
we knew that was okay, so is
Yes.
there something wrong with the BAA2?
it is actually lower than what our contract allows us to
Allows.
have. Yes, so we are working that,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought perhaps that might have been the case.
Yes,
but-
ma'am. Yeah, I need to,
Okay.
but everything balances.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Constable's report. Questions or comments about the Constable's report?
I don't have any comments about the constable's report. I would just like to say that I've been receiving phone calls from constituents telling me that they really appreciate Mr. Darius Smith. And I think the court
really?
needs to hear that because he's done an excellent job according to these folks. He's been very responsive to them. I know the court had to appoint him. So I think it's only fair that you hear what our constituents in Precinct 3 have to say about Mr.
I
Smith.
appreciate you
because
telling us.
They said he's very professional, he handles himself very well, and they are just delighted that he has been in the office.
He's a good guy.
Great.
So,
Door to door.
yes,
Right.
he's been excellent to work with. I will tell you that I've
Yeah,
had
'cause
a few
he's-
things for him to
Yeah.
do, and he's been excellent, very prompt in his response. So, I feel as though you guys needed to hear that.
Well, I had no doubt,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, he's been-
when we nominate, or when we approved his appointment, but it's exciting to hear that they're saying what we knew to be true.
Well, I know there was a little bit of concern at first
Mhm.
from some folks, but
Really?
I want you to know that when you hear it from the public, it's really great to hear.
That's
Okay.
great.
All right, elections report, Ms. Jackson?
Good morning.
Uh-oh.
Good morning.
What'd you
What
say?
was the uh-oh?
That's what I want to know.
Well,
Share that
it's been
with
a
me.
it's been a busy election cycle, right?
Definitely, definitely. However, I do not have an elections report because, I mean, it's just a bit much trying to write down everything that happened in February that we did other than early voting, which was a lot of hours that were put in and just carrying it out. So we did have a good election. But I do have a voter registration report I did not submit one in January, but I thought this would be a little bit interesting if I go ahead and submit that January report along with the February report.
Yeah.
So in January, we ended the month in with 24,356 registered voters. But at the end of February, we had an increase of about 430 more, which was about a 1.8% increase with
That Precinct 3.
with a total of 24,786 registered voters. However, during the election, we had actually 24,912 that were eligible for that election. Which makes a big difference. In January, we had 168 new registrations. In February, we had 174. Address confirmations, we printed and mailed 707 in January due to the mass mail out that we had between the end of November and December. And in February, we only had 81 that were printed and mailed. Address confirmations responded to in January was 80, but in February it's 57. In address changes, we had 109, and in in February, we had 111. So people are responding to the confirmation, so that's a good thing, and that we had those changes within the county, not outside of the county. Now, canceled voters moved, we had 58 in January. In February, we had 58.
Canceled voters deceased. In January, we had 45. In February, we had 35. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions for voter registration or elections, whichever one?
I will just say, I think the reason I make note of the fact that there's more voters in precinct 3 is during the, when we did the census, and we
Yes.
had to change the boundaries to make them more even, we had less. And it's amazing how many people are moving
Still
to our community.
relocating.
Yeah.
This is true. This
Well,
is
they
true.
had to, same with mine.
Yeah.
They gave some of mine to precinct 4, and, yeah.
So it's just interesting
About that.
how the
People
demographics are
moving.
working and where those, I think a little bit of it may be due to the fact of where the subdivisions are within the
That's
city
true.
limits.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I shouldn't get too big of a hit, but at the end of the day, it's really neat to see these numbers and see where people are moving and where we're growing in our, because it's kind of a little microcosm into that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the report.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the Veterans Report, Mr. Purcern cannot be with today's appointment of one of his constituents.
APs,
Anybody have any questions or concerns about the Veterans Report?
None
He's always
here.
good when he does get there.
Yeah, he's
All right.
done a phenomenal job.
He does a great
Okay.
job.
Okay. Discuss the possible act upon the approval of accounts payable.
Okay, today, we only have $421,484.22. Of course, that includes a dump truck for $180,000.
$180,000.
Yeah,
For the
and
vehicle, yeah.
a fourth of the
Vehicle.
payment for the Expos
Trucks.
marketing project, which is ARPA funds, a little over 16,000. The rest is, I think there was a lot of credit card payments in there and just regular expenses that we have, nothing exciting.
I move upon the approval of accounts payable.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 17.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.
Ooh.